farmers will begin to lose their farms because this oil pipeline will be heated across these lines. So 13 countries will be affected, where other nations are transiting this fossil fuel. One other nation are now transiting from fossil fuel to a just energy transition. Or what can we say of the East Africa oil pipeline controversy? Here they now have over 10 billion signed to build that pipeline that will cross across various communities about 144 kilometers heated pipeline. This is not acceptable. This will not happen. This we are calling that it must stop because it's more dangerous to us than the blessings. I'm not feeling the impact or the negative impact we are getting. The king polluters are continuing to invent what we call false solutions that are not anywhere representing the local people. So we want to see systems that work. This act for climate justice is just towards 20 vulnerable communities to have the following objective: local to global campaign against fossil fuel exploitation and expansion through this act advocacy, but demanding for a just transition and environmental sustainability plan that carries local communities along. Not just policy in check, but policy implemented in reality. So developing an improved environmental ecosystem that will serve as an alternative for oil. Before oil, we were living and even more healthier than we are today. We used to record 110 years as one of our life expectancy. But today, we have nothing to record back as part of what we have benefited from oil. So the vulnerability of our communities, we want to hear them. We want to hear us tell our stories the way they are, not doctor stories. Today, the entire Niger Delta is being stripped by flooding, but it's not making headline because the system does not recognize it. They say it's a natural disaster and it's normal rainfall. Citizens are dying, even those in the grave are resurrecting. It's not even allowed them to rest. What a shame that we have a system that is weak. So this meeting today is a sober reflection of how fossil fuel has impacted on us negatively. I have my fathers here, I have my mentors here, who have been partnering on the back, and all our team, to ensure that we continue to speak, to continue to say it the way they are, not doctor stories. So this art will be showing us practical impact of climate crisis as it's affecting local community in the Niger Delta. So that other countries, other young people, other local communities can take a cue to begin to amplify their voices. And also for our leaders, local leaders, we also want to say there is need for us to work and be accountable to our people. Investing in technology transfer, not expanding fossil fuel. Investing in policies that actually reflect in local people, not enslaving the people through people ignored by the people, and now it's affecting the people. So we want to see today true story from the Niger Delta. Here is the Niger Delta Climate Art Exhibition, Season 2. Climate justice, we want it now. Climate justice, we want it now. And we are telling the stories bit by bit. So thank you very much, and God bless you. So to open this event today is my mentor and my father. Time has been guiding me on the way that I should go. And today, I'm learning very well. Everything you see today are what he has taught me. So I am so privileged to have him out of his busy schedule all over the globe to be in our office today. It's a great privilege, and we do not take it for granted, sir. We want to say this is how far your guidance, your mentorship has brought us. Thank you for his encouragement. We have brought a look for, we have been joining the post-secret contractors to say, look, we want oil, and we have killed our destiny. Thank you for giving us strength to amplify our voices. Let's welcome our mentor, Mr. Lugo Pastor. The Director of Africa. Our to open this meeting and also give us the direction for the exhibition. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And congratulations for hosting this second edition of Art for Climate Justice. I salute all of us. Good morning, brothers and sisters, in-laws and outlaws. We have outlaws in the house. Okay, you are looking so serious. Art is meant to be fun. We are here to celebrate creativity and to challenge ourselves to think about real actions, climate change. I must applaud Connected Advocacy because it's a group that is focused, that knows what it wants to achieve, knows what it wants to do, knows the platforms to use, and is doing so effectively. We need more groups in this nation and in Africa who identify exactly the niche they have to occupy and then to push there. Art is such a powerful tool for advocacy. It's a very powerful tool to model and mold behavior. It's a very powerful tool to make people understand exactly what is going on around us. Some of the most memorable ideas that and inspiration that Nigerians got to resist military dictatorship came from the music sector, from Fela Nicola Kuti. The struggle against apartheid, something that propelled Nigerians to join, was from the music of Sonny Okosu and such other musicians. In terms of photography and art, we all do know that there are very strong messages that can easily enter people's hearts. If you look around today's exhibition, and I'm sure Prince will take us around, and we have some explanation about some of the things we are seeing. Pictures speak volumes, and they stick into our memory. Our memory is like a computer that captures images, and to erase images from your mind is not a thing you do casually. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
That is why we have to be careful the images that we watch, the videos we watch, the pictures we look at, the links that you click on your social media. Because whatever it has in your mind will stay there for a while, and some may stay for life. So you need to load your mind with things that inspire you. And I believe this exhibition will inspire us to act positively, to be guardians of the environment, to ensure that when we see something that has gone wrong, we don't close our eyes and walk away. It will inspire us to speak up, to stand up, and to act, to mobilize others, and stand for climate justice. This is not a small event. It's a major event that I believe from year to year we'll go to places. Last year it was both in Nigeria and in Glasgow, maybe in London. I know you took it around. This year it's here, starting from here, and it's going to be in Sharm el-Sheikh next week in Egypt. And when you go to the Conference of Parties, which we call the Conference of Polluters, because the Conference of Parties is not really about solving climate problems. This is the kind of activity that tells the world that climate change is real and something must be done. If you're paying attention, I believe some of you pay attention to what is going to happen in Egypt from next week, from 6th. from 6 November, that's for Sunday, when the conference will open. Now, every year this conference meets to deliberate on what actions we take so that the world does not, the world is not burnt from global. It's no longer global warming, it's now global heating. The world is heating up very rapidly, and Africa is heating up even more. Yesterday I read a story that says that Europe is heating faster than any other part of the world. I don't really believe it. I think Africa has always been the one receiving the heat, and we don't want that concentration to deflect it to another region. People now say, okay, no problem in Africa, it's only Europe. No, we have to tell our own stories, how we're feeling. Is it getting cooler in the city? We're coming in night temperature is 24, 25 degrees. It's unusual. In the night when it should be cool, it is hot. You put on your fan, it's not blowing cool air, it's blowing hot air. There's reason for us to worry. Now, the world, rather than taking climate action, is going to be negotiating next week on how to avoid action. This is why the major item in the discussion is called nationally determined contribution, which we call nationally determined catastrophe. Because now nations, rather than coming together, are coming apart and say this is what we can do, this is what we will not do, this is what is convenient for us, this is what is not convenient for us. Because they're looking at other factors other than the common good. Last year, before the COP at Glasgow, the United Nations Environment Programme issued what they call the emissions gap report. And they showed that if the world does continue to do what they said they were going to do, temperature was going to increase to 2.7 degrees above pre-industrial level, Celsius above pre-industrial level. Whereas the agreement says well below 2. But what countries wanted to do was heading to 2.7. This year, just last week or so, the UN issued another report, emissions gap report, showing that if the world, if the nations do what they said they were going to do, our temperature by the turn of the century is going to be 2.8 degrees Celsius. If it's 2.8 degrees Celsius, Africa will be almost 5 degrees, which means that our countries will be roasted, which means a very sad picture of the future for young people and for your own children, for your children. It's the conference where disaster is being programmed, because the polluters are the ones writing the decisions and influencing the decisions. The polluters are all over the COP. Imagine this is for one of the biggest contributors to the COP, the sponsor is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola does not only suck almost all the water from the water level from the ground, it's also leading to a lot of plastic pollution. Am I right? Yes. I know you like Coke, but Coke is destroying the world, apart from poisoning you with all the cubes of sugar in it. Now, but we're talking about climate change. We have to call out the companies that are causing the problem, the oil companies, Shell, Exxon, but they spend billions of dollars trying to tell the world that there's nothing like climate change, or that it's not caused by human activities. But now they've kept quiet, they are changing their name. Total is called what now? What's the name for Total? Total Energies, can you imagine that? If I saw one police station on Upper Lawani, calling itself something, Upper Mission, calling itself something energy, they are following the oil companies. So that you don't hear oil again. What you hear is energy. But has oil disappeared? No. Has climate change disappeared? No. So how to call them? Call to that Total Oil Company. That's what they are. Shell Oil Company, ExxonMobil Oil Company. Put that oil there, because that's what it is. Now, before I say the sentence that I will end my contribution this morning, let me also mention that Nigeria is in very serious crisis at this moment from climate change. The flooding that we're having that has killed maybe up to 1,000 Nigerians, displaced close to 2 million, is not something that happened by accident, as Israel already said. It's something that is a consequence of climate inaction. And if nothing is being done, if dams are not built on River Niger, we don't support dams for certain reasons, but for protection against flooding, we need to have those dams built on River Benue, so that when the dam in Cameroon gets overfilled and they release it, we can use the water productive for irrigation and for other things, maybe for energy generation. If we keep sitting down and watching the water come down, come to Lokoja, they will take pictures, say, oh, Lokoja is flooded, Where will the water stop in Lokoja? Where is it going to stop? In the ocean. So it's coming to flood those states, flood Bayelsa, flood Delta, flood rivers, and just flood everywhere. And so if the action is not taken, next year the flooding will be worse. You don't need to be a prophet to know that it's going to happen again. And so pictures that we are watching, we're going to see today of gas flaring, of soot, of flooding, and all the other things that are being captured by artists are big reminders that we have work to do. We have serious work to do. And we need to support connected advocacy. We need to support all the organizational communities who are standing up. We need to, if you can send something to help the stranded citizens in the flooded communities, please do so. Nothing is too small. And we need to stand together to demand that. I heard the Nigerian government say they want to lead Africa in innovative carbon trading. Nigeria wants to be the center of carbon trading, which means they will keep on burning gas, but they will tell you that maybe the trees in Cross River or trees in Ondo State, Omo Forest the forest in Ondo and Ondo State, that they are absorbing the carbon, therefore they get carbon credits for having the trees standing. The moment we start thinking of trees only as carbon, it means that we've lost our mind, we're crazy. Because we really want to carry that false argument forward. Why don't we say that we're also made of carbon? Are we not made of carbon? Yes. So if Nigeria has 200 million people, so we have a lot of carbon in this country. So we can also trade the carbon in our bodies. The moment people see Mother Earth, the planet, as a source for commercialization, it means that we've lost our sense for well-being and reason. And so, community advocacy is my pleasure to be in this meeting today, to visit your office for the first time. It's good. I'm going to be coming here regularly to watch, to see what's going on. And I'm really delighted, especially with the lineup, the paper represented by Brother Wale and one from Barrister Shiva and other contributions will certainly make this a remarkable event. So thank you so much for putting this together. It is now my pleasure, honor, and privilege to declare this event open. Thank you very much. Now, before I take my seat, I carry this paper just to show it. Have you all seen it before? This is the NIGERIAN Manifesto for Socio-Ecological Transformation, Socio-Ecological Justice. Was the output of a national Niger Delta convergence that took place at Rio in June last year. In 2023, it will be happening in April. And it will have a lot of focus on youths. And I believe there will be an art component. Because community advocacy has to bring an institution there. So this manifesto has a lot of points about action, which we believe various groups and communities should use to make demand from political leaders to clean up the Niger Delta, stop the pollution, stop the flooding, stop gas flaring, restore the environment, compensate the people, and allow us to live in dignity. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Please check if Ken is still online. Is Ken still online? Okay, let us just give Ken 2 minutes to give his goodwill message. He couldn't come. And Mr. Ken, sorry. Hello? Okay, can you go ahead, please?
Good morning, everybody. First of all, I want to appreciate connected advocacy for putting together this very interesting gathering. If you look at the activities that have been happening in Nigeria, most importantly around the world, you will agree with me that the worst thing that has happened to Nigeria was the exploration of oil in the Niger Delta, where it has weakened our government's way of thinking, where it has destroyed our environment, our water, our air, and our land. It has also hope of the planet. Now, the planet is moving anti-clockwise and clockwise. All of this is just because of the hunger energy. And all of this is because of the pressure of the Western world on the African continent for its natural resources. So for me, this particular country is a good way of trying to create more out of the huge issues that are going on around us. For me, this particular country can also bring about the change effect that we are all asking about. Change effect in terms of our ideology, change in terms of how we treat our environment, and most importantly, how environment as members of the NIGERIAN, how do we view our environment? That is one of the most critical things. The way you treat your environment is the way it responds to you. So, going forward, I think that we need to be more cautious. We need to be more tolerant of the activities of the earth. We should protect the earth and protect our children and protect our kids. We should protect the earth and also ensure that we do what is necessary for us to be in good communications with nature. Nature cannot be cheated. Nature will always be what it is, but we should not use our hands in ensuring that we destroy nature and refusing it to grow according to our pace. Thank you for the opportunity.
That is Ken Kitty. Comrade, thank you very much for finding time to be here. I know you have other meetings. Please give me direction. Thank you very much. I think without wasting much time on our agenda, we await Barrister Chima Williams before his arrival. Let us quickly just go to Baba Wali as he speaks on redefining African struggle from fossil fuel colonialism, lessons from the Niger Delta environmental injustice, about vast loss and damage. He spoke on this message on the launch of Loss and Damage. The white men started asking him for more definitions. And what he wants you to also bless us with that same blessing. Father has blessed you. God bless you. Thank you, sir. Let's put our together for
I want to say praise God.
Hallelujah.
Feels like I'm in church. Good morning, everybody. My name is Papa Wale. So the topic given to me is long, but I'm going to pick one or two of them to speak from. Loss and damage become a topical issue in recent times, and the COP27 we are going for a few days' time. Part of the agenda most people are going there with just to speak to the issue of loss and damage. So this morning I would like to share into light around loss and damage, interpretation, what it means, what we should be doing, and how we should be going about seeking redress for it. So the first question before us is, what is loss and damage? What does it mean? How many of us have heard that terminology before? Loss and damage. Anybody? How about adaptation? Anybody here? Mitigation. What is mitigation to you? What is adaptation to you? What do you understand by those two words? Anybody will be able to? Anybody? I'll point at somebody. I saw hands up this way. Okay.
Mitigation, that's what due to the severity of the particular thing.
Thank you very much. Adaptation? Okay.
Adaptation is very useful, particularly like acclimatizing to situation.
All right, thank you so much. So those are clear definitions in the simplest form, which actually addresses the issue. So when it comes to climate change, we're talking about adaptation. There are measures taken to adjust or gear, like I said, to get used to changes caused by the climate change. This is what has been going on around Africa. Because of the situation we've faced with over time, we found a way to always adjust. But what we have experienced and what we are experiencing and what we would experience if nothing is done is the issue of loss and damage. So loss and damage is the senior brother of adaptation. Because under loss and damage is a case where the damage is beyond repair. Nothing can be done about it. You can no longer adapt, you can no longer prevent. It is complete destruction. So the analogy I have in my head is if you have a car. It's not a good analogy for this kind of discussion, but I think it's going to be something that relates to all of us. If you have a car and the car starts having mechanical faults, you can easily adapt by taking it to a mechanic who can fix it for you, right? But it gets to a point. For example, someone is driving on the road and that kind of truck, that red truck, smashes the car, crushes the engine, destroys the car completely. What happens to that car? Can you fix it? It's damaged completely. So that's what is happening to our climate today. The people around Africa it's because it involves sorry about that. Sorry. Okay. So now, that is law. Who are worst hit by the climate crisis have been to demand that finance be made available to help these people in our region to adapt and to be able to bear the impact of climate change. But what we are seeing, like the case that has happened in Nigeria this year, happened in Mozambique this year, happened in Durban this year. I saw a picture from Troy. When I mean completely destroyed, all the quota are broken into pieces. Like you have a clay pot that is smashed on the ground. You know how the fragment looks. That's completely a mess. And to consider that East-West Road, as we stand, is still not completed. Who and when will the government go and fix that road and make it habitable for the people? Okay. So these are issues that we need to start bringing to the fore. That the people are already experiencing impacts that they can no longer adapt to. They are already experiencing impacts that they can no longer mitigate. And it's time for those who have polluted the most to begin to pay their climate debt. So for most of the people going to COP this year, one of our major demands is that finance should be made available for the issue of loss and damage. The argument has always been that loss and damage is tied inside different principles or texts within the COP document. They always relate it with adaptation, mitigation, and the likes. But what we are saying is that this case is something that is distinct and separate from adaptation and mitigation and should be treated as such. So you might ask, okay, where will these monies come from? How will these monies be raised? And who should be paying these monies? We know historically that Africa, for example, only contributes 3.3% of the global greenhouse gas emission in the world. But the impact of the climate catastrophe is not quantifiable in Africa. It is like a head reverend say, where it is 1.5 degrees hot up in the global north, it is already 3.5 hot. You can see the way I'm sweating now. Since yesterday, the heat in this town, how many of you can agree? It's something unbearable. So if we are experiencing this in Benin City, what about our brothers in Maiduguri? What about our brothers in Kano? If Benin City is this hot, what about our brothers in Bayelsa right now? Because Bayelsa, normally at this time, during this, when the Harmattan season is coming close, the heat is something else. What happens to our brothers over there? So it's time we begin to put these issues on the front burner. Africa is already roasting. So the more we delay, the more impact we're going to have, and we don't want to be extinct. But the sad reality is, the flood that just happened in the Delta, I'm pretty sure some small island communities have been washed away. So it's time we need to take this matter seriously and begin to ask the global north who are contributing the most to the extraction of this crude oil, fossil fuel from the floor, should begin to pay their climate debt. Because we have contributed the least, but we have experienced and we are experiencing the worst of the impact. So the other thing we would like to look at today Are there other facilities available? I think it was in Paris also that they brought about the GCF. How do you call that stuff again? The climate finance pocket, like a green climate fund. That's what they call it, GCF. It was agreed that 100 billion they contributed every year towards that course to help Africa, small island nations to adapt. So what we have seen since that was instituted was less than 100 billion have been provided by these countries who are the highest polluters. They have refused and they always find reasons not to contribute that fund, giving several excuses like we've always seen. But our demand now is, this is no longer time for excuses. Science have said that if we continue on the trajectory that we are right now, our world is going to go on a temperature rise that is higher than 2.7. So if we want to remain as a continent, it is time to begin to act. Our governments are beginning to succumb to the pressure from Europe because Ukraine and Russia are having a conflict. And Russia used to be the major supplier of gas to Europe. And last year in Glasgow, one of the things that our government fought for, because the Europeans were saying that Africa should not extract for gas because it's going to further pollute the atmosphere, not knowing the Ukraine war was in front. But now these same Europeans have turned their backs to start demanding that Africa should release their gas for them. And our governments are not reading between the lines. They are only looking at the financial possibilities that will come in. If these gas projects succeed, for example, we are going to have further impoverishment of our communities. Lands are going to be grabbed. Farmland, people are being displaced from their community. Not because they want to leave, but because the government wants to extract for gas from their land. They'll be totally displaced. Now, military has taken over their communities. There's crisis all over. But we're not looking at these issues in Africa. In Nigeria in particular, our governor, our president, vice president has been parading, going around talking about how gas is a transition fuel. How gas is the energy energy supply that we need to transit from dirty energy to clean. But the big question is gas in itself clean? Is gas not also a fossil fuel product? So how clean can the gas be? Scientists have said also that this gas releases methane, which is 34 times more deadly than CO2 in the atmosphere. So why push for this gas to be extracted? Why not begin to think about the renewable alternatives that are available? We have sun, we have the wind. I was speaking to a friend 2 weeks ago who works on solar panel production and batteries. And I asked him, why are you not concentrating your energy in developing this technology? And he said, the resources required are not available. The technical know-how to do it are not available. Even when it's available, it's the fake ones from China that is accessible to them. So this brings to the question of, brings to light what we have been talking about, that there's need for technology transfer. There are people on ground who are willing, who have the skill set to be able to do these things. Why not make funding available for us in Africa, small island nation, to be able to make these things available to citizens across the region? So our demand for loss and damage is that there be finance provided to help Africa transit from dirty to clean energy. And not just transiting with what they are now calling the transition gas or clean gas or green gas, but to transit completely, remove our minds and our focus away from new oil and start to think about how we can move into renewable energies. So I talked about technology transfer. So what are some of the principles that guide or that should guide us on that? The one that they've been trying to remove from the document is the principle of common differentiated responsibilities. We that are going to the COP, those that will support the COP process from home, we must ensure that the common differentiated responsibility clause in the COP document is sustained, so that people will understand that we are not impacted the same, we don't contribute the same, and we cannot be made to pay the same amount for the damage that has been done. The global north, whose activities have increased and made us to suffer climate crisis or suffering in Africa, must be the ones to provide the finance that will require to make this transition happen. And we are also demanding that the finance for loss and damage should not come in the form of loans. Because if it comes in the form of loans as we are experiencing now, we are going to be more impoverished. But we are saying this finance should come in the form of grants. So that we are not further impoverished, we are empowered to make the transition happen. So that should be our focus and that should be our demand. So in trying to round up this conversation, I'll just speak about two documents that Friends of the Earth just published recently to help. Because one, it has been said that the African leaders who are going to the COP are going to be pushing for carbon capture storage technology to be advanced in this COP process as a solution to the climate crisis. And like as we have heard several times, for those who know, talking about carbon, Reverend has explained it several times in different forums. There are false solutions, they are not real. He talked about it just that they are calling trees, seeing trees as carbon capture entities. If we see trees that way, we already said that that is disaster in the making. But now this is what our governments are going to push. Last year in Glasgow was nature-based solution where they are pushing to plant trees across Africa. And the big question we asked at that COP was, where is the land to plant these trees? Are you going to come to Africa and chop down our remaining forest to plant a particular kind of tree and make monoculture forest according to your definition, according to the definition of forest happen? What happens to the farmers? What happens to the farmland? What happens to the community people? So we are against such technology advancement. Carbon capture storage mechanism is not the way to go. The way to go that we know is to stop the extraction of fossil fuel now. Not looking for alternative or solutions that will further make us become face more problem or become victims of climate crisis. So Friends of the Earth released two documents. I'm going to share the link with Israel. One is on the false solution being propagated and that the people, the governments of the world wants to push for at this COP, which we all must stand against. And the second is one that I released tomorrow, which talks about the gas push for Africa. It said, don't let Africa burn. In that document, we looked at why it is important that Africa should not be allowed to burn. And secondly, we also provide a solution to that proposition by the government. I'll read a part of it just to help highlight what the report is about. The report highlights the damaging impact of the climate crisis that communities across Africa and the world are already experiencing. I talked about that. It speaks to the first solution, the net zero pledges, nature-based solution, offsetting carbon capture and storage to dangerous geoengineering being proposed by governments of the world. The report focuses on why we should not allow our governments in Africa to push for gas as being clean, as being a transition fuel, or as being needed for development. That report also not only talks about the negative side, but it also makes for an alternative to the gas extraction plan by the government. Last year we produced a document called a Just Recovery Renewable Energy Plan for Africa, which envisions system change and show that it's not only urgent, but entirely possible to reduce emission, transform the energy system, and support a just recovery for the continent of Africa. That report, the final analysis is energy should not be developed solely for profit, but must ensure that the dignity of all peoples are reduced and reduce energy poverty so as to catalyze sustainable societies. African government must work with all people and remove every obstacle that may retard progress or detract from attaining the goal of sustainable society with reduced energy poverty. So that document will be out tomorrow. We'll share the link with Israel for us to have it as backup document if you're speaking to the government, speaking to politicians, speaking to anybody with respect to the climate crisis, what our demands should be. So with this many talk of mine, I would like to put a halt here. If you have a question or two, you could reach out and ask. Thank you very much.
I will give you another example. If you have any question around loss and damage, we were very free to also ask him. So without wasting much time, our mentor is a very busy person, so we'll just take a walk around some of the exhibitions so that we'll see the true essence of what we are doing. When we also have our the unveiling of the Fifth Climate Crisis magazine, are also going to be unveiling. So if you have any question, please, the opportunity to be given to ask your question. So without any doubt question, we can walk you guys through the various exhibitions and the storyline behind the exhibitions. Thank you very much. Can we please just stand and take care of some of these things so that we see. Right here, I want to start with the current peculiar situation, which is flooding, which is one of the impacts of climate change. And this has wreaked havoc in almost the entire Niger Delta state. It took me 2 days to be able to return home from you because of this incident. But here we have today flooding as one of the impacts of climate change. Our government is giving 3 months to make plans for an emergency situation to see how failed our system are. Situation that is killing our citizens is giving 3 months to prepare plan, not an emergency approach. Here is a woman who have nowhere to go. Her livelihood, she has lost them. The family, the children, carried away by this flooding. And here, she only had that she could rescue a cooking pot. In this boat, she cooked her meal, the one she could survive with. Just like the widow of ZEVI. Here is a peculiar situation currently in the Niger Delta. This is a local community in Bayelsa. When I passed through this road a day before this incident, the cars were moving through this road freely. But after 24 hours, there was no longer access to the road. Buildings were submerged, schools, maternities, the road becomes bizarre. So she is now wondering, where will I go from here? The same thing, the citizens of the Niger Delta, whose lives and means of survival have been cut short due to the impact of climate crisis, are asking, where are we going to go from here? Because for the look of things, the government has failed us, telling us 3 months to prepare a plan for an emergency situation like this. Where graves, our dead bodies, are now being exhumed due to this impact of this crisis. Even the dead also felt the impact of climate crisis in the Niger Delta. Here we are. We call it the black suit. Due to illegal refineries, local pollution that has polluted the environment. This you can categorically see in Port Harcourt. They call it the oil-rich nation of the Niger Delta. But this is how citizens live. With this kind of pollution they inhale. Imagine their health status. You inhale this quantum of carbon. and those who finance it, they are in their houses enjoying clean air. We are saying no to this, and this must stop. So we can no longer continue. Even those they've asked to secure these areas from this suit, most times they put uniform and do the job themselves. What a shame. We want to say a stop to this. What is left? Nothing is left. Here you see wants to take water from the stream. In those days we do drink water from our streams. This is the water she can find from the stream due to the activity of polluters. Due to the activities of polluters. How do you see this? Can we continue like this? Little or nothing to be said by the gas flaring in the region. The gas flaring. Community now see it as a source of evening light. Whereas the climate is being cooked. Community now brag with it that they have what distress their community. They have light. To what? To environmental degradation, the depletion of the ozone layer, even our crops, natural habitats within this environment, they are being cooked up by these activities of our people. So we say we can no longer take this. And lastly, can we have this one too? Please come. These are very interesting parts of this exhibition. That's why they were kept for the later. Here we are. Here we are.
Go to the corner.
These are families who are currently experiencing what we call the black water. Come inside, come inside, come inside. Come inside, please. We have the black water. This water used to be where children do swim, where children do come, fetched home. But this is what we are seeing today. Flooding. This is a full-fledged building. This is a building that existed. But today, this landlord and the tenant, they are both tenants and they are both refugees at the IDP as we speak today. Both the tenant and the landlord, they are both refugees in the IDP camp today. The same thing had there, the spillage, nothing to take home. The cooked planet. The cooked planet. You can see for yourself. These are those activities of those toxic extractors. This is how our planet now looks like. It's being cooked. Everything in it, they are not dead. Stranded community. Stranded community. The communities here now, they are now stranded. Now they are calling for divestment. They are calling for divestment where the community is being stranded. The assets are also stranded. The means of livelihood have been taken away. Their health is deprived of them. And today, they are saying, where do we go? So lastly, we have here, who are the contributors? The king polluters. I call them the king polluters. They give policies, they sponsor them, the Americans. They are the king polluters. We are saying, let them save our planet. Not for solution or geoengineering, as they used to call them. Now, the colonial master, we are saying to them, let them stop fossil fuel expansion. We want to take 6,000 kilometers from Nigeria up to Morocco to take gas. We are saying to the United Nations that it is hard time for them to begin to speak the truth. Let them speak truth to power. Why Nigeria, we the sufferer, who will speak for us? So we are saying, who will speak for us? Our flag still remains green and white, but the environment is black and deprived of living substance. So these are some of the illustrations of the work of art that we have been projecting in our local community. Here we see the man is being frustrated because of low yield of fishes. And we did a live documentary, you can look for us on YouTube, on this physical, all these things you are seeing. We went to every of these communities to do documentary of them. So you can go on YouTube, check for Connected Advocacy. You will see communities speaking up for themselves on how they have been suffering from climate crisis. That most youth here now, because of this low yield of the agricultural production, which is a mix of sustenance, most of them are now, they now subscribe to Yahoo. You get, they now take body self-help as a way to survive. If the agricultural product is yielding value, we will not think of alternative. So we are saying today, let them leave the oil in the soil. Since it's no longer adding value to our natural life. Since it's no longer adding value to our community. So we are saying, let the oil be left on the ground. So we are speaking to the king polluters, we're speaking to the developed countries, the global north, that it's high time they begin to speak truth to power and ensure that they walk the talk. We are not looking for net zero, we are looking for real zero. Real zero where our natural habitats will be restored. Ecosystem recovery. Environmental sustainability. I want to go back to my fishing business. I want to go to my local farming business where I can eat fresh fish and drink fresh palm wine. These are asking that the global north to ensure that this COP27 actually let it be the people's cause. Let them speak truth to power. Thank you very much. And God bless you. God bless Africa.
What is this lesson to other Africans?
Yes, the lesson to other Africans is not far-fetched, is that let us have a coordinated policies that are people-centered. Let us have policies that are implementable at the grassroots. Let local communities be given voices to speak truth. Let us drive sustainable actions that will ensure that citizens' voices are heard. So from what you have seen today, you can see that climate change is true. We are not polluting. We don't have funds to carry out oil extraction. It's a multi-billion-dollar project. A poor man from the third world cannot do it. So we are saying, let re-divestment be divestment from sponsoring the expansion of fossil fuel. Let re-diversion be the what? The diversion from fossil fuel to just energy transition, where citizens can have life to live and people to lay on. No longer loss of livelihood, flooding, and everything that causes degradation to our environment. We are saying climate justice now. Let the global north, the global south, let them take reaction for a sustainable environment. Thank you.
Your name, please.
My name is Prince Reka. I work for community advocacy. Thank you very much. We're going to be having some interview sessions with the media, some of these parts. So don't get with us. And also we have some of our competitions that also enrich lot of among us. We have a long topic that was going on.
Good day, sir. Your name, please.
Mapawale Obayanju is my name. I'm Environmental Rights Action President Nigeria and also President Africa.
You gave a very sound lecture here today.
Yeah.
How do we actualize those plans?
Yeah, so I spoke about the issue of loss and damage. Loss and damage is a case where people experience onset impact on their communities and their livelihoods as a result of flooding, cyclones, hurricanes, and the likes, all which are impact of the changing climate. And so we have suggested that one way out, since loss and damage speaks to damages that cannot be repaired, irreplaceable damages, two forms happen: the economic damages and their non-economic damages. One of such non-economic damage is the issue of damages that happens to our culture, our language, our people, our food. Because when people lose their lands, which Africa, as we know, is tied, many African communities have strong ties with their land. When they lose their land, they lose their identity, they lose their culture, they lose their food, they lose who they are. That cannot be replaced economically. No matter how much you give to those people, they've lost a part of themselves. So what we are saying is to prevent this and pay for these damages, the global north who have contributed the highest to this pollution we are experiencing and the crisis we are experiencing should contribute the highest and help communities survive, help communities adapt, help communities mitigate, help communities be able to find a way to make them to survive the impact that has come from loss and damage. Yeah, so
your name again, sir. Thank you very much.